Welcome back everyone. So today in this PL-900 lab series we will talk about Canvas app. So we continue with the Canvas app. We'll further work on it and build another Canvas app from scratch. So let's go back into our Power Back app portal and let's try building that. So let me open the Power App portal. So I'm right now in make.powerapps.com and I'll say new Canvas app. But before that I need to make sure that I am in the right environment, and then doubly to make sure I can go inside the specific solution I have created at the beginning, and then I say app Canvas app phone form factor. So this will start creating the layout. Yeah, that's good. And then I will first save this with a name. Give a name here, and then I will say that maybe I will give my name so that it's easy to identify. Let's say campus security. This is the display name. Looks good. Save and then come back. After that we will right now it did not start from any data source, so there is no data. So it will go into the data sources, and then you have this connect to data option. It shows you various different entities you can connect to, and then you say that see all entities, and I need this visits entity. That's gonna go ahead and add to that. Okay, so go to file, save, and come back. Each step saving is important, publishing is not that. So we'll go and insert few controls over here. First we'll insert in the screen 1, so we'll go back to the layout. In the screen 1 we'll insert a text input. So to insert that, you go to insert menu, text, and say text input, and it goes ahead and adds the text input here. Right, you can even have a hint text saying that enter visitor code. Okay, just remove the default value and it's format text. And ideally in the best practices scenario you should be renaming it so that you know what this is all about. Otherwise, when you have increased number of controls, it is really difficult for you to identify. Okay, so I change it to text code. Now we know what it is. Now you need to add something to display the record here, right? So I go to the forms, I say display, and I just maybe place it at the bottom, increase that, and say And you can see that now it says that you can connect to data. I can connect to the entity. That's the entity I right now I'm in, and I can edit fields here, and it basically will allow me to, so let me select the visit, and if I say edit field, you can see that these are the fields which will be displayed. So which is actual end, actual start, so you can change the sequence here. So you can say I want actual start before actual end, and then I need, let's say, the building, so let me bring in the building also. So show that building over here. Okay, here, and then after that I need schedule end, schedule start, and visitor field. So we have schedule end, we don't need this. Schedule end, schedule start, and I need one more, that is visitor. That's the last one. Okay, and then I can remove this code from here. So it is up to you to show what exactly you want to display, so you can pretty much put things into play. Okay, I say horizontal. Okay, then once you're done, so you just close this, and this looks fine. Now what you basically are looking for is that someone presses enter and the data displays here. So you need some sort of action while somebody is entering. So how that data is gonna load in that view or in this form tag. So if you go to this form control, right, and then go into the advanced tab of that, and then you see here something called item property. This is where you should be writing some sort of code. So let's put some lookup, and the lookup is basically against the visits entity. That's the entity we are using as our data source here, and the code of the field within that entity or the table is from the text box code, and then value is that's text. So that's how it will fetch the information. So you just end it, and it's just done. Okay, so you can see that now I have added a bit of inline code, and then I'm done with a bit of work. So I'll just go ahead and click on save, and this will save the data, right? What I wanted to know is what is the code here. So what I will do, probably I will open another window, make.powerapp.com, and go into, let's say, data, and go to the tables. That's what we sometimes call as entity. We are in the wrong environment. So you can see that once you are not in the right environment, you don't see the data. So sometimes it may be a bit confusing. So make sure that you check the basic stuff, that is whether you are in the right environment. So you go to the right data, it displays the data, and you say all columns, then it shows you everything. So probably I will pick up something like this. This is the code of the employee. So I'm in the designer mode here. I will go back, and then I will say I want to run, and this is the test run. So I'll just put it here. You can see it shows. So if I just remove one which is not a valid thing, maybe I say 8, I get another value. I say 9, I get another value. So you see the things are pretty much changing, which means that the code I've written here works. Yeah, right. So and then we just have tested, so it is just a local check, right? So it's you can also play F5, or you can click on this button. Now we want to add few button. So let's say I wanted to give an opportunity for this app, whosoever the user is entering in the user app, the code can mark that user as a checkout. So it's not just display. I'm also enabling some sort of transaction through this app. And to do that, what I can do, um, first of all, let me select this control. Okay, and then you see advanced, and then I go to the on change property. So right now the on change is false, right? So what we wanted to do is that when somebody creates the button, so I'll say, you know what, you want to say set visit visits, that's what it is, and then say look up visits code txt code dot text one one. Something might have done. Okay, so that's should be fine. Invalid argument type. Am I missing something? So this is not the right. Yeah. Should be now fine. Visit set. Okay. Now I want to add few buttons. So let me add a button here. There are two buttons needed. So I'll say add one button, add another button. Okay, and I give a name to this button. Let's say text on the button number 1 is check in. Okay, and then display mode is I also wanted to change the name of the button here, so let me come back, rename. Shall I give a capital letter or a small letter? Let's give capital letter. Check in button. Okay, that's number 1 button, and then I have another button, so let me give check out. Okay, check out. Let me rename this to check out button. That way I know that what is what. And now I need to write a bit of code to make it enable or disable. Now I want to show you the data first. Now if you notice that some data, they have both actual start and actual end field values, which means that they have entered and they have exited. So ideally we should be disabling button for these records, otherwise it will be overridden, right? For these kind of people, the start happened, which means they have entered the campus but they did not come out, so we can enable only checkout button for them. For the records which doesn't have either check-in or actual in or actual out, we can enable first the check-in button. Once somebody checks in, then enable the checkout button. So this is kind of dynamic, because in the sense like we now have to make sure that the editor is not by default or mistakenly adding things like that. So I go to the check-in button first, and then I go to the code, and then I say I want to go display mode. Instead of edit, I remove them. What I want a bit of code. Now let me try to write that. The condition is that if this is blank visit, which means that when I come into this text, if the text box is completely blank, then I will also keep them disabled. Okay, and I say if it is not, then go ahead and check visit dot status. Do I have a status here in visit equals to this field? Hmm? Dot active. Hmm? And then I put another condition which says is blank visit dot. You get a lot of help, right? So you say right visit dot actual. It should actually show me that. I'm just wondering why it is not. Actual start. Hmm? So what happens when it is not blank? The status is active and the actual status is blank. Then make this display mode as edit, which that means it will be enabled, else the display mode is disabled. Okay, that ends my statement. Let me copy the whole thing, keep somewhere outside. Just for check, it's visit dot status equal to status is active. Display mode. Yeah, that's fine. So let's just leave it like that, and then let's play around with it and see if it right now working or not. So if I just run this, and let's say I do not have anything. Not changing. What am I missing? Invalid argument type. So there is also an invalid argument type here. So I think I'm doing something wrong. VISI. There's a spelling mistake here. Yeah, now it is gone. Yeah, and you can see that this is also fine. Yeah, so even if there is a spelling, now you see, because right now there is nothing entered, so obviously the check-in button is disabled. So if I pick up something who already has done check-in, both check-in and check-out, then also check-in button should be ideally disable. So let me copy and then use this ID here. Okay, if I just tab out, it is not showing anything. It should ideally show. If I pick up something which is, let's say, has got value, and then I use this, yeah, it is now showing. Now you can see the check-in is enabled. Okay, if I have something like 98, it's probably there, all fine. Yeah, it's gone. So it's okay, working fine. Now let's focus on the checkout button, right? So in this checkout button, also we'll go to the display mode. I will say display, and then instead of just saying that it is edit, which is enabled all the time, I put my condition, and the condition will be if the, let's just go back to the text file I copied. So what I did for check-in, this was for check-in, but for, let's say, check out, we'll search for something. So we'll check if the visit is not blank. We will check the status of the visit is active, that's fine, but we'll also check if it's not blank. Okay, we will not check is blank, we'll say is not blank the actual start. That means the actual start has started, then only you make it enabled. Okay, so that's the checkout button logic. So I copy, I paste it over here, and that is gone. Okay, now if I run and test it with couple of records, for example, let me run them side by side. Okay, and then let's say I want to show them here, and I want to show it here. Okay, and if you notice some of the records, for example, the record here, which has got both the data filled in, that's actual in and out, and I take this ID, okay, this ID, then ideally both the button should be disabled because I cannot enter anything, it's already done. For this record, my check-in button should be disabled, but the checkout should be enabled. Yeah, so you can see that checkout, you need to tab out, so the checkout is only enabled, the check-in is not. Okay, if you go down and see a record which doesn't have a start or end, which means they haven't, this guy haven't entered the campus yet, what I can notice or observe is that if I come out, the only check-in is enabled because I cannot do checkout until and unless the check-in is done. So you see that the logic is simple, but it works, right? So it is kind of fine at this point in time. Now this is just to enable or disable, we haven't done the saving part of it, so we'll do the saving part of it. So let's close this, come back over here. Before I do anything else, I just go ahead and save it. Okay, it's a good practice to save. Now what I wanted to do is that I wanted to update the field, that's the field for actual start and actual end. When somebody clicks on check-in button, the actual start sets the current value of the date and time. So if I go into the check-in, that's the button, and then I say on select. Right now there is nothing, so I go ahead and remove it. Okay, so this is the code area, so probably we can increase that. So in this we use something called patch function. So patch basically is an update command. So if you say patch, what do you want to patch? You want to patch the visit visits, and then you say visit, and you update what? You update couple of records, so you do cover them like this. So you say actual start, okay, and then you say actual start is what? Now. Use now, yeah, now function, and then that basically sets the current date and time in that field. Okay, you end this whole thing with a semicolon. That's one statement. And after you are done with this, okay, what you need, how do we enter here? So let me, yeah, and then you say refresh, you inside the refresh, what do you refresh? You refresh this visit table. Okay, so you say this, you refresh it, shift insert, and then you set the visit, same thing. So just kind of reload the data. That's what we are doing here. Okay, visits, okay, and then I say code equal to text code dot text. Okay, so basically what I am doing, if you stay here for a moment with me, is that I'm doing an update statement. This is an update statement. Which entity or table? That's a visit table. And what field? That is actual field, right? So if you go into each of this statement, it'll show you the source, it'll show you the record you want to update, and it'll show you the field you are modifying. So you can actually modify a couple of fields together one after another in this by separating by comma. So I'm just doing only one. So this is for the thing, and I'm not done yet here. Yeah, here. Okay. Now you see that no, this is not Word. This is code. Okay. So you basically copy it and then keep it here in the text box, so that we can use it later. Okay. So you see that now we are kind of okay, and then we just refresh the visit thing, relookup, that means reload the data, and then by doing that, what is beneficial is it will just refresh the thing and then rerun the logic of enabling disabling the button. So if a button is, let's say, enabled, it will be disabled by default. Similarly, for the checkout, you can also call on select. Okay, and here we will change the status to inactive, and then we will add an actual end field to the current time. So we will continue to leverage the previously written code and just come over here, but you notice here I'm using the same visit table, so I can just use a different code together. So let's say I say that I want to use this visits table. Okay, not this one. So it should be close bracket. Yeah, it's close bracket, and then visit, and then the actual, not start, end should be now. What else? I will be modifying one more field. That field is status of the record, and that will tell the status is state. It should be visit. So let me pick it up from here. If you see here, yeah. So this is the status visits. Okay, that's the field, and I say inactive, so that the data itself says, and one more, and semicolon. Yeah, what it itself says that I'm now going to go ahead, not only add the actual end value, but also change the inactive field. So you have seen that in the button disable enable logic, we have checked if the data is active or not, right? So if the data at all inactive, that means it's historical data. So that's what we are doing, changing the data status, right? And then what I'm going to do, I think we are done with this fantastic code we have written. We'll test it. So we'll remove this. We will do the similar kind of testing. So we'll go and check some record which has got both the value empty, and ideally it should now enable the check-in button. Okay, that's what we're doing. That the moment I tab out, check-in button is, I enter, it adds a record, it refreshes the form. You can see that it just adds the current date and time. Okay, and now if the checkout is enabled, so I can do immediate checkout, or I can wait for the person to come back and then do the actual checkout. So if I do the checkout, what happens, it enters the checkout or actual end time, and it also disables the record. So if you refresh the data for this specific row, yeah, this row, if you see here, you will find the status as inactive. Earlier it was active. So it not only changes the actual end, but also it changes the status, and that's when the enable and disable thing will be kind of done here. Let's add some fun stuff over here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna maximize this, and I'm gonna close this first. Okay, reduce the size, come over here, use this space for something else. So I'll go to the insert, and then I say icon, and it doesn't matter which icon is select, I can say check. That's okay. And I put the icon over here. I just put a bigger size of the icon, okay, so that it fits in the whole space mostly. Alright, so the icon is ready. Now what I'm going to do is that I want to put a icon property dynamically. Okay, so in the design, you have this design thing, advanced tab, and then you choose the icon property. Okay, so it has got fixed value, so instead of fixed value, we'll add some code into it. What is the code? The code is a conditional thing. It says if check in button dot, now all we can do is that we don't have to go back anymore to the database. So we can check the button because button is already handled from the database, and then decide on what to do here. So I checked if the display mode is like display mode dot disabled. Okay, if the check in button is disabled, okay, and so you put double ampersand, and the check out button and the checkout button dot display, there's so many properties. So display mode is not equal equals display mode dot disabled. Both are disabled, that means the record is kind of inactive, right? Then the value is icon has got a collection of icons dot emoji. So let's use emoji from as a sad face. Okay, else will be happy. So I'll say icon dot emoji smiley. Okay, and then I end the whole statement. I can see that it also in design time fetches the right record. Okay, it doesn't need to run that. Whatever value I had in the design time, it can fetch. So if I go back into my record and then find some record which does not have the values entered, so I pick up that ID 99 instead of 98, so I just change the 99 and then I tab out, you see smiley coming. The moment I say 98 and then come out, it is sad because I'm done. It's already done. It's a bit of fun, but you can just make it quite an interactive experience by doing that. Now what I wanted to do is that I am almost done with this application, so I save it, and once you are complete with all the development for a Power App, you should ideally be clicking it publish, and which means that it will take the current version and publish it. So let's publish that. And then while it is published, we'll end this module. Thank you so much.